Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another player analysis breakdown with myself and Sloth today. Umar Solet, Red Bull Salzburg. I think I've pronounced that right. Interesting that we're now being linked with him, another defensive player. This coming out recently, credit of Foot Masato, saying that we are interested in Umar Solet, the defender who is set to be on the move this summer, under contract until next season. He's ready to leave and search for a new challenge with a 24-year-old on the radar of a whole host of clubs across Europe, including the likes of Bayern Munich and Napoli. So seems like there's going to be a few people battling for his signature this summer, Sloth. As it mentioned, they're 24 years old, 6'3", obviously playing for RB Salzburg, as we just mentioned. He moved there in 2020, for around 4.5 million euros. So, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more than that. But with only 1 year left on his contract, it's not going to be a massive fee. And it's definitely a position we need to strengthen this summer. Obviously, a centre back by trade. Talk to me about Solly, and for people who don't know who he is and what his best abilities are in terms of his defensive attributes, because we do have a massive rebuild this summer, and we're going to have to get the structure right, and the players are going to have to be bang on and hit the ground running if we're going to be successful under Lopetegui.
So the best way to describe him is probably that he is a very, very similar style of player to Mavropanos, in that he is very big, very strong. He's quick. He's also very comfortable carrying the ball, and he has got a good, strong passing range about him. He's technically strong on the ball. So I think when you're looking at the fact that the rumoured price is around 14 million euros, that's going to be one of the main reasons we're interested in this deal. And as we know, Lopetegui does like to have his defensive mids drop back, allowing a centre back to go forward. And when you think we could not only have Mavropanos who can do that, we could have Solet. It's a very tantalising prospect. He has had a couple of worries with injuries in the past. They've mostly been muscular. I think he had one serious injury, but the others have been quite short spells here and there out. But last couple of seasons where he's really impressed has been in Europe. And look, I'm not gonna lie to anyone. The Austrian league is not the highest standard. RB Salzburg actually finished second for the first time in 9 years. I think they were on a great run of winning all these titles, and it's the first time they've actually finished second in a good decade. So that's nothing to do with him in particular. I think it's just been that they kind of got found out a little bit. More teams are recruiting and looking to use their sort of recruitment style. But Solet, in terms of that price, his age, what he brings, I think it's a very solid deal.
Yeah, what would you say his key strengths are as a defender? I know you said he's similar to Mavropanos, so what would you say his key strengths are?
It's his physical strength, also his pace, but his reading of the game's pretty good. He does make the odd error. Mavropanos is guilty of that as well, but I think it's more it's less discipline wise, like rash challenges, and more just a pass that's maybe slightly off cue, or sticking a foot in a little bit too late. So it's nothing that tends to be rash. He is, as I mentioned, very composed on the ball, and he can get caught out of position sometimes if he goes marauding forward. But as I mentioned, hopefully someone like Alvarez, who's happy to drop back, will more than cover that sort of thing. Lucas Gornaduth, who is a phenomenal young centre midfielder, he has basically been doing that exact thing that Alvarez would have done for Salzburg this season. Okay. So I think as long as we have that knowledge in the side, maybe go out and get a stronger right back, someone who's a bit more pace about them, I think that would really help cover him.
Interesting. Yeah, I think some of his statistics from this season, it definitely does paint the picture there. You know, he gets dribbled past roughly 0.5 times per game, so that's still quite low. And again, balls recovered per game 7.9, interceptions per game 1.8, tackles per game 1.3. And again, that aerial duels one percentage 70% is very high for a centre back, which is also going to be important in the Premier League. In terms of coming to the Premier League, Sloth, obviously it's a massive difference compared to the Austrian League. Which no disrespect to them, but it is. So do you think that he'd take a little bit longer to adapt to the Premier League? Do you see him coming in as a starter, or is it more of like a squad player with maybe trying to impress to get into that first 11?
I think it's a squad player looking to impress and get in the first 11. You know, I think he'd be a very strong player to bring off the bench if you want to inject a bit of pace. If you're looking to hold up and grind out a result or nick a 1-0 win, that sort of thing. I think if you've got him on your bench, you suddenly feel a lot more confident because you know that a defender can come on not only willing to throw himself at everything, but also confident in carrying the ball and giving you an outlet. So I think for now he'd be fairly comfortable coming over and knowing that he's going to be a second choice player, but wanting to prove himself. And he did actually play at Lyon for a little bit as well. Yeah. It wasn't the best of spells there for him. He did move, but I think quite often that can give them a bit of a bit between the teeth to go on and prove himself. So hopefully that would be the same in this case.
I know you mentioned there it's probably going to cost around 14 million to get the deal done. We've said it before, we're going to need a lot this summer. So the budget's going to have to be spent very, very wisely. I think with the way we'll want to play under Lopetegui, obviously he'll be wanting to play likely with a left-footed centre-back and a right-footed centre-back to have that balance. If Mavropanos is going to be a starter, which I probably expect he will be under Lopetegui, that kind of makes me believe that if Solet does go through, it's more of an option to bring in rather than someone that's going to start and push. So where's his best position? Is it that right centre-back role? Is he comfortable playing on his left foot? So how would he be able to adapt in those positions?
His best role is definitely that right centre-back spot. So where Mavropanos has picked up a few injuries or, you know, he does make a rash challenge or something, he's kind of ideal to come in and cover for him. His strengths are really that his ability on the ball and willingness to throw himself at everything. So I think when you look at the fact that Kehra's going, we are losing potentially another centre-back in Ogbonna.
Yep.
I think this is a great option to build a bit of strength. And while, you know, we've spoken extensively about how we would look to spend the money or even who we'd bring in, players like Tosin on a free.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And I think if you can get someone in early, get the manager coaching them, we know that Lopetegui actually wanted Mavropanos at Wolves, so he'll be quite happy with that.
Yeah.
I think it's the type of player that you can expect to see solid things from when he's given the chance.
Interesting. So just to sum this up, out of 10, as we always do with these scout reports, if this transfer was to come off, say 14 million euros, what would you give this transfer out of 10?
I'd give it a 7. I think as I mentioned, there's a couple of injury issues, and I think he's not the main player I'd be targeting from Salzburg, if I'm brutally honest. You know, as I mentioned, there's Gorna Duth, and there's Kanate, who's an exciting young forward. But I think he's shown a lot of ability and room to improve as well. So I think it's a good deal. I don't think it's the best that is available to us, but one that should hopefully push us in the right way from conceding as many goals as we have done this season.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously brings that age of the squad down as well, only being 24 years old. So, you know, he's nowhere near his peak of his game and he's got a lot of room to improve as well. So, yeah, Umar Solet could be an interesting move for West Ham. Let us know in the comments what you think of the deal and whether you'd be happy for us to go ahead with it. And yeah, if you're enjoying these scout reports videos, make sure to leave a like on the video as always. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. And Sloth, until next time.
Come on, you
Come on, you
eyes.
eyes.